Hello and welcome to the channel. Welcome to Maki's Closet. So this is the first tutorial of the year, and in this tutorial I'm going to be sharing with you how to cut and sew a jumpsuit with a rose design in front. So if it's your first time viewing my channel, please hit on the subscribe button. So let's dive right into today's video. So here is the pattern paper, and I've marked out my vertical measurement, which is my shoulder to bust, shoulder to under bust, and shoulder to waistline. So on my waistline I came up by 1 inch. My shoulder to waistline is 17 inches and I'm making use of 16 inches. So for some people that their shoulder to waistline is too long, so this is actually a perfect way of cutting your jumpsuit. Or you can also consider using your half length, which is your shoulder to under bust plus 3 inches. So whatever you take out, make sure you replace it on the trouser pattern. So now I'm going to mark my shoulder divided by 2 and I'm going to connect it. Now to find your chest line is your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. Mine is 7 inches and I'm going to go ahead to draw a line at that point. I'll place my ruler and I'll take that line down. So there's no need drawing the armhole curve because we are not going to be working with that. Actually, we just need this as a guide. So I'll go down and mark my basic neckline of 3 by 3 inches and I'm going to connect it. So this neckline also is going to serve as a guide also when we are cutting out these jumpsuits. So now the next step you want to take is to go ahead to insert your body circumference. So at the chest line, I'll mark the bust circumference divided by 4, add my sewing allowance. We don't have any darts at that point. Whatever you have at your chest line, take it to your bust line. So at the under bust, we're going to go ahead to mark our dart intake, which is our shoulder to bust line plus 1 inch, making it 10 inches for me. And I'll mark my nipple to nipple, and next I will be marking half inch on both sides, and I'll go ahead to connect it for my dart intake. So after I'm done doing this, I'll go ahead and I'll mark the under bust circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake, replace it because you're going to sew it at this point when you're sewing your pattern, and add my 1 inch stitching allowance. Mark my waist circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake, replace it, and mark my sewing allowance. Go ahead to connect your pattern from the chest line to the bust point, to the under bust, and to the waistline. So now you're going to go ahead and trace out the neckline of this pattern. So now to alter the neckline, I'm going to go up by ½ inch from my neckline and I'm going to connect it down to my chest line. So this is the reason why we marked out our chest line, to serve as a guide. So after now, I'll go ahead to cut out my pattern. So now I'm going to use this same pattern to cut out my back. To cut out my back, I'm going to fold it in from my chest line this way, and I'm going to go ahead to add my zipper allowance and get rid of the bulginess for the back. So after I'm done doing that, we're going to head over to the trouser part of the jumpsuit. So now remember we took out 1 inch from our waistline. Remember to mark that back, and I'll be adding ½ inch for joining allowance for the trouser. So I'm going to go ahead to mark out that part. So after marking out that part, I'm going to go ahead to start taking my measurement. To start taking my measurement, I'm going to get the full length of my trouser, which is 40 inches, actually 39, 1 inch for folding. So to fold your trouser, you're going to do your laps or thigh measurement divided by 2 plus 2 inches. So after dividing mine, I have 14.5. So next I'm going to mark 8 inches, which is for my hip point. So place your tape from that line. Look at where I'm placing my tape immediately after that 1.5 inches we marked. So now I'm going to be marking my front crotch extension. To get this is your hip circumference divided by 4. Whatever you have, again, you're going to divide it by 4. So after dividing mine, I have 2.5 because my hip is 40 divided by 4. I have 10 inches divided by 4, again I have 2.5. So after I'm done marking that, I'm going to get my crotch. So to get your crotch is your hip circumference divided by 4, or you can go ahead to place your measurement and mark. So I have 10 inches and I'm going to add 1 to it. So I normally add 1 to whatever I have on my crotch, so that by the time I'm done sewing my trouser, it won't be too tight for me, especially when I'm sitting down. So after I'm done doing this, the next step I'm going to go ahead to do right now is to extend that my crotch line in front. So after I'm done extending the crotch line, the next step you're going to take is to go up by 1 inch from that point. You want to draw out your crotch curve in front. This is like the easiest way to do that. So in case you've forgotten, let's go back and refresh. Now remember that we marked 1.5 inches, which is the 1 inch we took out from our waist, and half inch for joining. So from there I marked the hip point and the crotch point. So I'm going to go down by 2 inches at this point. So you can go down by 1.5 inches, or you can mark your thigh measurement also at your crotch. So I'm going to go ahead to label this pattern so that it will be more visible. So the material I'm working with is actually a crepe and is a bit stretchy, so that's why I'm having difficulties marking out my measurements on it. So now go ahead to extend that line upwards. So on that point, look at where I'm marking my waist circumference. So mark your waist circumference there, and you're going to add 1 inch to that point. So after that, go down to your hip line, and you're going to mark your hip circumference divided by 4 with 1 inch. So when I was recording, I didn't know my camera went off. So after marking your hip circumference plus 1 inch, you're going to take that measurement down, and from your thigh measurement, that point we marked our thigh measurement, you're going to mark your lap measurement divided by 2 and add 1 inch for joining allowance. So after you're done doing that, go ahead and mark your waist to knee line. My waist to knee line is 21 inches, and make sure your tape starts after that 1.5 inches that we have. So after you're done marking that, go ahead and measure what you have around your knee. Mine is 18 divided by 2. I have 9, and I'm going to go ahead to mark 1 inch at this point. While looking at the trouser, you notice the down part of the jumpsuit, you notice that it's not so tight on the knee. So you can go ahead and make yours tight if you want to. So whatever measurement I have here, I'm going to go ahead to take it down. So you can also go ahead to just measure what you want, but I'm just going to take what I have from that point down this way. So after I'm done doing this, I'm just going to go ahead to cut out my trouser. If you have any question regarding this particular video, please leave your comment at the comment section. So at this point, I'll just go down by ½ inch and I'll connect at the upper part this way. So now it's time for me to go ahead to cut out my trouser pattern. So at this point, if you find this tutorial very interesting and educative, please don't forget to hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and also leave your comment at the comment section if you have any question concerning any part of this drafting. Just leave your question at the comment section. So after cutting out, this is what I have, and now we'll go ahead to cut the back pattern. Now to cut the back pattern of this trouser, I'll be marking 2 inches in front. So you can go ahead and mark 2.5 inches. It just totally depends on the person you're actually making this for. And also for the crotch in front of the trouser, go ahead to mark 2 inches, and you're going to go ahead to connect your pattern this way. So after you're done marking that 2 inches, go up by 1.5 inches at this point and slant it down to the waistline of the front. Now you're going to go ahead to place your tape, mark your waist circumference divided by 4 plus 1 inch. We are not attaching we are not attaching that to the back of the trouser. If not, back of the jumpsuit, sorry. If not, you're going to go ahead to mark that intake. So mark your hip line and connect it down to that point. So after that, go ahead and trace what you have at the back of the jumpsuit or the trouser this way. So now I'm going to go ahead and mark 1.5 inches in front. Now this 1.5 inches, I'm going to take it down to the lower part of the trouser this way. So after I'm done doing that, I'm just going to go ahead to connect the line, and the next thing I'll do is to go ahead to cut out my trouser pattern. So for the sewing tutorial of this particular pattern, I'll be doing that in our next video. So at this point, if you haven't yet subscribed, please hit on the subscribe button. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and see you in our next video. Thanks. So this is what I have after I'm done cutting.